have to speak for the air turned cold. The story was finished before it was told. It wasn't the slamming of a heavy oak door, or the sound of your footsteps across the floor. It was the way that you looked right through my chest, like I was a ghost or a temporary guest. It wasn't a word, it wasn't a sound, but I felt the tectonic shift in the ground, the shiver of ice in the heat of the June, a beautiful symphony falling out of tune before you even turned to walk out the door. I felt the goodbye an hour before. Felt it in the way that you pulled back your hand, like touching my skin was a desert of sand. I saw the forever depart from your eyes, replacing the truth with 1,000 fine lies. The silence was heavy, silence was wide, a funeral held for the feeling inside. Sometimes the farewell is a slow burning flame that flickers and dies while you're speaking my name. No lightning, no thunder, no cinematic, just a quiet arrival of a permanent pain. It wasn't a word, it wasn't a sound, but I felt the tectonic shift in the ground, a shiver of ice in the heat of the June, a beautiful symphony falling out of tune before you even turn to walk out the door. I felt the goodbye an hour before. I felt it coming like the winter in May. I felt the goodbye before you walked away. I thought I cleared it out, the tape was on the scene. I'd scrub the corners of every shared dream. The heavy stuff is gone, the sweaters and the books, the pictures you took down from all the silver hooks. But as I went to slide toward the hallway light, something shifted in the dark out of my sight. It's the last item in the box, tiny jagged grace, a souvenir of us. I'm not ready to erase. It's a keychain, a ticket, a button from your coat, a crumpled up I love you on a yellow sticky note. I can close the lid on the years we spent, but I can't pack away where the feelings all went. Yeah, it's just the last item in the box. My hands are shaking as I hold it to the sun. Thought the heavy lifting was finally all done, but this little piece of plastic, this fragment of a day, is heavier than the bed that I moved away. It's an anchor in the cardboard, a hook inside my skin, reminding me of exactly where the after should begin. Do I throw it in the trash? Do I tuck it in my sleeve? Is this the final anchor that's refusing to leave? The box is full of nothing, but it's weighing down the floor, because this one little thing is worth 1,000 more. It's the last item in the box, a tiny jagged grace, a souvenir of us. I'm not ready to erase. It's a keychain, a ticket, a button from your coat, a crumpled up I love you on a yellow sticky note. I can close the lid on the years we spent, but I can't pack away where the feelings all went. It's just the last item in the box, just a small thing with a giant sting. I'll leave it right here for another year. The last item.
The sound of a single piece of tape being pulled across cardboard.
Try to blink them back, to hold it down, to pretend I'm much stronger than I actually am. I've walked through the office and I've sat in the light, saving the breaking for the middle of the night. But the salt's in a coffee, and the salt's on the page. A bird with no song in a rusted out cage. I thought there was a limit, a well that would dry, but it's a storm in my soul and a leak in the sky. spark that starts up the rain in the middle of the dark. I've run out of tissues, I've run out of hope. I'm at the frayed end of a very short rope. No matter the prayer or the pride that I've got, the tears won't stop. There's a puffiness hiding the shape of my eyes, a physical map of 1,000 goodbyes. I see your old hoodie or a text from a friend, and the healing I started just comes to an end. It's a river that's rising, a flood in the hall, washing away every brick in my wall. Is there a place where the weeping just ends, where the heart finally stops trying to make its amends? I'm tired of the burning, I'm tired of the blur of a world that's gone hazy because of what were. I thought there was a limit, a well that would dry, but it's a storm in my soul and a leak in the sky. Every memory of you is a trigger, a spark that starts up the rain in the middle of the dark. I've run out of tissues, I've run out of hope. I'm at the frayed end of a very short rope. No matter the prayer or the pride that I've got, the tears won't stop. Still falling like a prayer that's been stalled. Still calling through the rain and the cold. They just won't stop. No, the tears won't stop. No, the tears won't stop. I still buy the laundry soap you always liked. I still keep the chain on your old mountain bike. The habits of us are a hard ghost to kill, so I'm playing the part of a man standing still. I reach for your hand in the middle of the night, but I'm met with the cold and the pale moonlight. It's a lopsided world, size frame where the silence is shouting your beautiful name. I'm a map with no border, a bird with no sky, staring at the ceiling and wondering why I'm living a life that was built for repair, but the only thing breathing is the empty air. Yeah, it's two pillows, one head. There's a dent on your side, starting to fade, the last physical mark of the life that we made. I try to stay centered, to sleep in the middle, but the math of a heartbreak is a cruel little riddle. 1 minus 1 shouldn't leave such a hole, a canyon that's carved through the center of my soul. Do I move to the couch? Do I sell the whole bed? or just live with the ghosts of the things that we said. It's a sanctuary turned into a cell where the good night I love yous have no one to tell. It's a lopsided world in a king-size frame where the silence is shouting your beautiful name. I'm a map with no border, a bird with no sky, staring at the ceiling and wondering why. I'm living a life that was built for a pair, but the only thing breathing is the empty air. Yeah, it's two pillows for hell. Good night to the shadow. Good night to the space. I'm still seeing your face on the other pillow. The sound of a single heavy sigh fading into the distance. Check the bulb twice, just to make sure it's bright. A yellow gold halo in the throat of the night. It's been burning for weeks, through the frost and the dew. A beacon I'm bleeding just to send out to you. The neighbors are whispering, they think I've lost track of the fact that the person I'm lighting for isn't coming back. It's an unanswered porch light on a dead-end street, a promise of warmth that you're never gonna meet. I'm paying the electric for a ghost in the drive, trying to keep a dead forever alive. It's a signal to nowhere, a spark in the rain, a luminous witness to a permanent pain. Yeah, it's just an unanswered porch light. I sit by the window with the moth and the fly, watching the shadows of the cars passing by. Every set of twin headlamps that turns on the block makes my heart do a sprint and my fingers go lost. But they always go past, they never slow down. I'm the only one glowing in this sleeping town. Is it hope or is it just a habit of fear that makes me keep reaching for wish you were here? I'm a lighthouse for a ship that's already gone down, tied to a dock in a hollowed out town. It's an unanswered porch light on a dead-end street, a promise of warmth that you're never gonna meet. I'm paying the electric for a ghost in the drive, trying to keep a dead forever alive. Yeah, it's a It's just an unanswered porch light. Click. Maybe tomorrow, but the filament's thin, and I'm full of the sorrow. Unanswered porch light. The sound of a single switch clicking off, followed by darkness. I tried to scrub the memories off the kitchen tile, but the corners are still wearing your crooked little smile. I repainted the bedroom a darker shade of gray, but the sun still hits the floorboards in that old familiar way. I stripped the floral paper and I bared the naked stone, but I'm still hearing whispers when I'm finally alone. Because the walls remember every breath that we took, every I love you, and every sideways look. They're soaked in the laughter and the tears that we cried. There's nowhere for the ghost of our always to hide. I can tear down the house, I can set it on fire, but the walls are the keepers of every desire. There's a tally on the casing where we measured out the years, a hidden map of someday and a history of fears. I can hear the pipes humming with the songs you used to sing, a hollowed out vibration in a cold and heavy thing. The plaster is a witness to the slamming of the door, and the way my heart shattered on the hardwood floor. They've seen the best of us, they've seen the very worst. They watch the bubble blossom and they watch the bubble burst. I'm a prisoner of the structure, a captive of the wood. I'd move if I could, yeah, I'd leave if I could, because the walls remember every breath that we took, soaked in the laughter and the tears that we cry. There's nowhere for the ghost of our always to hide. I can tear down the house, I can set it on fire, but the walls are the keepers of every desire. They're closing in with the scent of your skin. The walls that remember the us in December. The sound of a muffled heartbeat thumping behind a wall, fading out. The sunlight hits the floorboards at a jagged, tired angle. I'm untangling the ghosts that we always used to tangle. The movers took the heavy things, the sofa and the bed, but they left the heavy silence and the words we never said. I'm leaning on the door frame in the middle of the afternoon, watching the gray dancers in a slow motion tune. I'm just watching the dust settle on the place where we stood, tracing all the shadows on the cold, polished wood. It's the particles of always and the fragments of us, turning into powder, turning into rust. The air is finally still, but the heart is a mess, watching the dust settle on a life of I guess. There's a ring where the lamp was, a square where the frame hung above the mantle and protected your name. I used to try to catch it, to sweep it all away, but now I'm just a witness to the ending of the day. It's falling on my shoulders, it's falling on my head, a million tiny pieces of you still in the air. They say when things stop moving, that's when you finally see the wreckage of the person that you used to be. No more shouting, no more running, no more slamming of the door, just the dust finding a home on the empty kitchen floor. I'm just watching the dust settle on the place where we stood, tracing all the shadows on the cold, polished wood. It's the particles of always and the fragments of us, turning into powder, turning into rust. The air is finally still, but the heart is a mess, watching the dust settle on the life of I guess. Let it fall, let it cover it all. The gray and the gold, the stories we told. I'm just watching the dust. The music fades out to a single delicate acoustic note that rings out and fades in. I was still tracing the lines on your palm, still memorizing the storm and the calm. I had the camera out ready to click, but the candle burned down to the end of the wick. I didn't get to say half of the things in my head before the I love you turned to already said. I blinked for a second, and the colors went gray, like a sunset that didn't have time for the day. I was reaching for substance, but I caught the mist, a ghost of a memory, a phantom of a kiss. The outline of us is a braille in a past. Oh baby, you faded too fast. Your toothbrush is gone, but the ring on the sink is still there to remind me I don't have to think to remember the way that you looked in the hall. But the details are slipping, I'm losing them all. Was your sweater navy or was it dark green? You're becoming a static on a broken down screen. Slow down the motion, bring back the frame. I'm losing the vibration of hearing your name. You're a Polaroid left in the glare of the sun, becoming a nobody before we were done. I blinked for a second, and the colors went gray, like a sunset that didn't have time for the day. I was reaching for substance, but I caught the mist, a ghost of a memory, a phantom of a kiss. The outline of us is a blur in the past. Oh baby, you faded too fast. Where did you go? I wasn't ready to know. The once upon a time is unsurpassed, because you faded too fast. A single dying piano note. I check the map and I check the clock, but I'm standing alone on an empty dock. The engine's hum is a fading ghost, the thing that I'm needing the very most. I was tied to the anchor, I was catching my breath, while you were already escaping this death. I had my suitcase, I had my pride, but I'm watching the wake of a turning tide. The invitation said us, but the exit said you. I'm staring at a sky that's no longer blue. You caught the wind and you found the sail, while I'm left behind with a broken trail. I was the passenger, you were the sea, but you sailed away and you left without me. There's a half-empty glass and a chair pulled out, a lingering sense of a shadow of doubt. Did you plan the departure? Did you wait for the night to slip through the fingers of a flickering light? I'm a footnote you skipped in a hurry to leave, with nothing but salt on a tattered sleeve. I'm shouting your name at the edge of the world, but the sails of your heart already unfurled. You didn't look back, not even a glance at the partner you dropped in the middle of the dance. The invitation said us, but the exit said you. I'm staring at a sky that's no longer blue. You caught the wind and you found the sail, while I'm left behind with a broken trail. I was the passenger, you were the sea, but you sailed away and you left without me. I'm still on the shore, waiting for more, but the horizon is empty and you're gone for sure. I'm still on the shore, waiting for more, but the horizon is empty and you're gone for sure. We were a maybe that felt like a must, a beautiful tower we built in the dust. We had the blueprints, we had the stone, but now I'm just standing here all alone. We were a chapter that ended midline, a vintage bottle of unpowered wine. You were the almost, you were the near, the ghost of the west. the hand I was holding, the future I planned, the castle that crumbled back into the sand. The hardest part isn't the goodbye we said, it's the life that we never got to lead instead. Yeah, you were my almost. I see your car and my heart skips a beat, thinking of memories we didn't quite need, the trips we didn't take, the house we didn't buy, the I do's that turned into a quiet I'll try. You're the song that cut out right before the hook, the missing pages in my favorite book. Is there a place where we actually made it, where the colors stayed bright and the love never faded? Or are we just stars that got close for a second before the gravity of goodbye beckoned? You were the almost, you were the near, the ghost of the wedding I'll never hear, the hand I was holding, the future I planned, the castle that crumbled back into the sand. The hardest part isn't the goodbye we said, it's the life that we never got to lead instead. Yeah, you were my almost. Just a heartbeat away, so close to stay.